Hi everybody, it's Robbie from Southern California and it's 100 degrees today. So bear with me, I've got my hair up and a different hat on before the sun gets too bright. I'm setting up another chair and here is now what I'm going to do. I'm going to set it up. But what you're going to see right now is earlier, I don't know, a half hour ago, I went into the backyard where I've got my squash growing and all against the wall. And there's different things growing. I've got tomatoes, a lot of them died back, and eggplant and different things. And so I went through there and I cleared a lot of this. I wish you could see this. There's a butterfly on my camera. It is on my camera. Anyway, and it's in the camera. I have no idea why it's attracted to my camera. Anyways, I get so sidetracked with birds and butterflies and bees. That is a butterfly. But I was working in the garden and I was collecting all the old leaves and stuff, you know, in there, because this is all gold. That all breaks down. And I'm going to tell you how I'm going to set this one up. So I collected a lot of my old leaves and I cut it down. I did celery, I cut down squash, I cut down a little bit of eggplant, Swiss chard. I left some of the seeds because I'm going to collect the seeds off of that. And anything that was just the plant didn't really need, because if the plant doesn't need it, guess what? I do. I want to get this new chair set up and I've got ideas and hopefully it will work. And if it doesn't, I'll try something else. So I collected all that and I brought buckets and buckets and I filled this up. And this should be heavy enough where it's not going to go anywhere. And I think this is going to work out really well. I'm finishing up now with a lot of kitchen scraps that I had sitting because I want the kitchen scraps closer to the top. And the other thing is I dumped in some soil. So I'm not even sure what I did with it. I must have dumped it in already. Let me double check. Okay, hold on. No, I didn't, but I did collect it. This is so cool. As you saw when I was collecting this, this is broken down wood chips. Where I am in my front yard, it's a blacktop. We used to park here. And so there is no soil whatsoever here. And it is broken down into the most beautiful soil. Now, it's not quite deep enough to grow in, because I think Gary put about 6 to 8 inches down here, but it will break down into this fine soil and it compacts down. So he would really have to put in more. But that's okay. I'm container gardening everything out front. I'm experimenting with a couple things and we'll see. Oh, I bet you next spring I can really set a lot of things up in here. But I did collect some broken down wood chips from around the yard on the wood chips. This is not soil, this is just wood chips. And the reason I did that is under flower pots that I've got here, these floral pots, when you lift them, you'll have earthworms and all kinds of critters that you need for your garden to build up the microbes and everything. So that's what we're going to dump here. But before I do that, just so you know, I have not made holes in this yet. I will be doing that at the end. I have a bucket I collected from the kitchen and it's full of maggots and everything. And we're going to get rid of this once and for all. I didn't get to it right away. And just spread it in there. Some people have asked me, oh my gosh, what do you do if you have maggots? I don't worry about it, because the maggots are just whatever native flies you've got in the area. And guess what? I'm just rinsing the bucket out with the flower pot I've got here, a watering can. They're doing the same job the earthworms would do. They're not as pleasant, they're not as popular, but you know what? I don't have a problem with that. And then I've got some more kitchen scraps. No real maggots in here, but I might rinse it out anyways and then go back later with a hose and wash it out. You know why? Because I want everything in there. I don't want to waste it, even though I can rinse it out and put it back in the soil, the wood chips. Okay, now I'm going to dump the earthworms that I collected from the wood chips. That's all going in here, and now I lost my shovel. This shovel. I am hoping I can not get on my shovel. This is why I like pink or red handles, because when they're black in the garden and you lay them down, you do not see them. When you lay a pink one down, a yellow one down, a red one down, you see them. And that's why I lost my best cutters in the yard, because the handles were black and it probably got buried somewhere. Unless a coyote ran off with it. I don't know where I lost it. And one of these cutters. That's why I put a piece of red tape on this so I can see it. Where's my shovel? You're all looking and laughing. It's right in front of you. Paint your handles. Okay, now I've got critters from the wood chips that have broken down. And now here's the thing. If I was not going to plant in this right away, I could put a little bit more of whatever on top. Leaves, wood chips, a little potting soil or whatever. Anything I want on top of this if I'm going to plant in it, let's say in a week or two. But I'm not going to plant in it in a week or two. I just want to make sure this doesn't go over. And I've got it set, because this is a real big tub. No, this will be good. So I want to plant in this right away. Like later on today when the weather cools, or tomorrow, or I should say tonight, because like I said, once the sun hits, it would bake. So I do want to get something in this right away. So I'm going to top this off, because everything that's in there is really good. I'm going to use a potting soil. Now you can use whatever potting soil you want. I got this one on clearance, but there are far better potting soils than this. I'll be honest with you, I don't like this one, but they went out of business anyways. But I got it so incredibly cheap that I figured my soil is so rich, the way I drop in all the wood chips and everything, that it really wouldn't matter that much. I mean, it doesn't have anything bad in it, it's just not the greatest. You could pick out anything you want. You want to go totally organic, get a really, really good potting soil. There's a lot of real good ones. If you don't care, then, you know, just read the label and see what they put in it. And make sure they're not just, well, you know, I don't know. There's a lot of different companies. So you want to get something that's fairly good. But I am planning on planting beets in here. I want to do more root crops. And if it doesn't work, for whatever reason, too warm, too cold, too whatever, I'll just put something else in here. But that's what I'm going to start with. And I'll see later on how I want to set it up. But the chairs have been wonderful. Everybody needs a chair. My other chair that I planted, I can't believe how much food I can get off of that. I would lift it, but this thing weighs a ton. And I carried it out here, so. But we'll get some of it on the top, see how much. I don't have to fill it to the top. I can fill it for as high as I want. But now I know that it's got all the leaves from my garden that's going to break down. And it is going to compact over time. So on the top, I could, you know, continue to put kitchen scraps over to the side. I'll probably make a container in here that I do. You've seen it. I call it a movable compost in place. I'm thinking of putting that in the middle. So if I really wanted to put a heavy feeder of some sort in here, you know, plant that like squash or something, they're heavy feeders. That means you really want to feed them. It could be leaves from your garden. It could be kitchen scraps, whatever you want. I would dump it, which I really, really want. Let's see. Maybe half the bag. Like I said, if I was not going to plant in it right away, because it was so bad on the top, then I would just let it sit for just a week. It breaks down so fast. I mean, if there's any zucchini seeds or squash seeds in here, they're going to grow in all that matter. But I want to do a root crop. So I want to make sure the soil is fine. I might even add in some carrots. Probably we'll put some celery around, and I'm thinking of putting beans in here at the same time. They're a nitrogen fixing, so they're very good for what you're growing. And I can have beans. That's why I brought the poles out. I was debating if I'm going to put the poles in the pot or in this container. I just got this at the thrift store. What did I pay for this one? $3 yesterday. They said it's really dirty, so we'll let you have it for $3. It was so big. And the number was right, and I thought, okay. Remember, when you're using plastic containers, you don't want a 3. Generally, the plastic containers you find here in the States are 2, 4, or 5. I usually find them as 2s or 5s. Most of them are 5s. 5 is the same quality that they use in grocery stores for cottage cheese, yogurt, food containers on the shelves. Generally, those are 5s. So I find that most of them are 5s. So this one's a 5. And black I like because it just looks nice in the garden. Does it get too hot? Believe it or not, it does not. And how do I know that? Because all my black containers are loaded with earthworms and everything is growing great and they're all still alive and happy. So that's it. So now, whatever I grow, especially the beets, the goal is they're going to send the feeder root down and they're going to pick up some of the nutrients breaking down with all those earthworms and whatever else I collected from the yard and put in here. But I can now plant in here right away. The only other thing I have to do is I do have to make drainage holes, and that I have not done. Now you're saying, why didn't you do drainage holes? Because I need to figure out where I want it to drain. I'm thinking of using this container and putting it probably here if it's not in the way of where I want to stick the poles. And if it is, then I'll just change it up. Okay, so I probably will turn it. I'll probably have it this way. Oh yeah, that will anchor really nice. I know I'll bring the camera around so you can see it. I'm going to have something here, and the holes, all that great water coming out of here is going to drain into something else growing on the bottom. As far as this keeps out if you've got dogs or cats, really keeps out most of your pets. It keeps out rabbits. Generally the squirrels, I haven't had them go into anything that's raised like this. If they start bothering it, you can tool the bottom around the legs and then you won't have any critters, no rats, no mice, no anything going in here. So a lot of things you can do with this. But if you wanted to set this up for, let's say, just an everyday meal for somebody, like for you, let's say you like some greens, you could grow in here just some lettuce and Swiss chard and walking onions and parsley. If you put mint, it would take over, but if you wanted to have mint, if you like mint tea, you could have mint growing. You could do anything. There's so much, but as far as like a mixed garden, boy, you can put all kinds of herbs and greens and whatever you want in here and grow a whole bunch of vegetables that you could come home from whatever fast food restaurant you went to, and then you could grab some beautiful romaine lettuce and parsley and your own green walking onions and garlic chives out of one container. You could grow one container on a chair and get so much food from it. So we'll come back later on after the sun goes down, hopefully, and I'll get some of my beets planted, and hopefully this is going to work out really good because I haven't grown beets here, a few, and now I want to grow beets. And Gary picked up some starter beets in a tray, and then he wasn't sure where he was going to put it, and he hasn't had time to plant it. And I thought, you know what? I would love to get some beets up here. And then I'm going to put something else. I think I didn't bring it with me. But I think I'm going to make right in the middle a compost in place bucket. And I might cover it and I might not, or I might put one with a cover. And this way I can still put kitchen scraps in here, both this, in the bucket with big holes on the bottom. You must have holes. Bury it down a little bit. Your worms will gravitate up and down, up and down. They'll have their own beautiful worm condo or a house, whatever you want to call it. And all the plants growing around it, they're going to benefit. Once all that breaks down that's inside already, they're going to benefit from whatever you're putting in the middle. And you can put in leaves from your garden, and you can put in anything rotting, stuff you found in the refrigerator, you didn't even know what it was, or the freezer. Just dump it in here, and if you are worried about smell or critters, you just put it in here with the holes and put a plate or something on top, or get a bucket with a lid. But you do want to have very small holes. So because you want it to breathe. You want to make sure that if your worms are going in and out of here, they're breathing. And I'll put the link in the description on that, and maybe at the end, so you'll see the one I did. I have them on my deck growing, and I'm getting massive squash and all the plants are growing so beautiful. So I think I will do that. I'll find one that I like, and this way I can still compost in here and keep this thing going. So we'll come back soon and see how the beets look. This container down here I'm going to do later, and I'm going to get some holes drilled on this end, and I think I'm going to leave this end looking really clean and nice for now. I could always put a hole there and maybe even a floral pot to catch the runoff, because I don't want the runoff to just go into the wood chips, which is fine, but I want the runoff that is, it's plant food. I want it to feed something else I'm going to grow. So I can grow anything I want in here. But this is really good. I love my chairs. I picked this up at the dollar store. And this hooks perfect on the chair. So I can plant some parsley or something in there. For now, it's just holding my tools instead of my pocket. All right, so we're done right now. Let's go get the beets. And we'll do that when it cools down a little bit and see how that goes. And here's another thing. If you're putting a chair with wooden legs on, let's say, soil or wood chips or grass, I had some plates, and I put a plate under each leg, and this way it keeps it just so it will be stabilized better, and hopefully the leg won't rot out as fast, because remember, it's wood. If you have a metal chair, you won't have to worry about it, but it might give it more stability too. I did not do it on any place. I put chairs on blacktop or on cement, but just, you know, kind of a tip. You may want to, you may not care, but I did it. And you could also use a brick, stepping stone, anything you want, just to give it a little bit more stability where it won't sink into the soil. Yeah, that'll work. About an inch up. I so feel everybody needs a chair. The chairs grow so much food, it's unbelievable. Okay, let's get those beets in and see how many we need to plant. Put this back here for now. Don't throw those containers away, because you can always plant seeds in them. Okay, let's get all these beets planted. So the chair's all planted, the new chair, it's ready to go. Things look a little droopy right now, but you know what? It's been a couple days. I think it looks really good, and nothing is brown, so it hasn't died. And then I'm gonna also get beans in there, and I'll probably put some steaks in there, and I'll show you how I'm gonna wind that up for the beans. And this, oh, let me show you this. Let me see if I can do this. This is so much fun. See this container here? This has got just a little celery growing, and then it's got, I don't know, this is a cutting I did, and it's very purple. It's off of one of my collards. It might be off my tree collard, so I'm going to keep an eye on it. But look, see if I can do this with one hand. Okay, I can't. This lifts up. Hold on. I can sit a pot with holes in here and do it that way too. So this way, this would get protected, and I could just have this pot in here with holes, and I can lift it out and put more food matter in there and close it up that way. This lifts up. Do you see that? This is a compost in place on the chair. I lift this container up. I usually don't do it with one hand. And I can compost kitchen scraps in the bottom one, and this one slips in. This has got holes on the bottom. So does this one. But you know what? No critters or anything are going to get into this. And in the meantime, this is even going to benefit as it pulls nutrients out of this. And then, of course, my beets will too. Anything I plant in this chair will. You could easily do that. Put two pots together. You put one inside the other one like I did here. And you can compost in place. In this one, just lift the small one out on the top. You don't have to fill it so much. Lift this one out. And when you water it, it's going to water your compost. It's going to go inside the container, and it's going to keep everything fertilized, free plant food. You can't do any better than that. So we'll see how this goes. Hopefully a lot of these beets that were really root bound will make it. In the meantime, I'm gonna get some beans going in here, and I'm gonna get my other chair together soon too, and I've got a real special one I'm putting together pretty soon too. So get a little compost container in there, and like I said, can have any critters. Nothing can get in here. It's sealed. It is sealed, and it is working great. I've got a few of these around. So we'll keep an eye on this. So have a great day. Just wanted to come back and touch base with you and show you how it's doing. So don't forget to eat what you grow. And if you like it, please like and subscribe and share this, because it's so important for people to grow something. Really. And this, you can't get easier than this. One container on a chair. You've seen my other chair. Let's walk over there real quick before I end this. This is giving us so much food. I picked a whole bunch and I am making for dinner tonight out of this, and it still looks so full. Anybody can grow on a chair. All you need is one chair for, some people, just to get some fresh food into them. So share this and make sure all your friends and family are planting something and growing something to help their body keep strong. Have a great day, and don't forget to eat what you grow. Bye-bye.